Hello Libra, I am Ulrich, I'm a Lenormand card reader, and today we will do the financial card reading for the sign of Libra for the month of December. But before we start, I want to wish you all happy holidays. I hope you have a financial, very prosperous year, and of course, I wish you stay all in good health. Now, coming back to the card readings, as always, we will do 4 card readings for the sign of Libra for the month of December. And these are based on the natural elements in your astrological chart, or for some of you, on your time of birth. These basic elements are air, earth, water, and fire. Now, the 4 objects that you always see on my table are directly connected to those elements. So you choose or you pick one that you think relates most to your personality, or you choose one you feel most comfortable with. The subject of your choice, it should or it will relate the best to your current financial situation. However, if the object and the related video does not match your first choice, please check the other videos that are directly connected in the same session. I'm sure one of the 4 will fit you. Anyway, the matches represent the fire element, the stone represents the earth element, the aerosol sprayer represents the air element, and the shell represents the water element. I want to add here also, if you have questions, you can post them under here in the comments. And if I have time, I'm sure I will reply to them. Anyway, here we go, Libra, for your financial card reading for the month of December 2021. Hello Libra, and welcome to the shell or the water group for your philosophical financial card reading for the month of December. As the first card here, we see the card of budget. If I take a quick overview here, it's like the cards are telling you here that they want to improve your life, but you need to make certain adjustments, and especially here, we cannot go into immediate satisfaction, but I will explain myself more better in detail. The first card is the card of budgets. What is the card of budget? Well, for some people, it's easy to budget. They know exactly what they are earning and they know exactly what they're gonna spend. They have lists of everything and they don't cross certain budgets. But here this card, this tells you maybe for this group of people, they need to follow a certain plan, because for some, as I said, it's impossible here to do here. You first need to determine if you are a budget type or not. Anyway, if you are lucky and you are a budgeting type here, then maybe something unforeseen get wrong in the past, and you were or are or you were before in certain difficulties here with this card. But here we see the next card here of the card of accomplishments. So this is about to improve. So there's a possibility here that you wised up here and that you learn how to manage your expenses and your budgets better here with this card. Anyway, if you are unable to budget, you need to make some adjustment, this card tells us, and you could do this, this card tells us here, by paying cash. Paying cash is a very easy way for getting a very clear overview over your budget. Why? Well, if we pay with plastic, we don't have a sense. We just pay, and by the end of the month, then we see that our bank sends us everything we spend. We check that. Sometimes we don't even check it. We don't open the mails, what is there, what did we spend. So this card is about telling us, if we want to get a more balanced overview, it's better we withdraw money from the cash machine, we put it in our wallet, we go to the store and we pay the people in hand. Why is that? Well, because we actually, when we overhand the money to the cashier or to a person that we need to pay on, we actually have a paying response in our brain. We see actually that we pay and we feel that we pay. And also we see that the money in our wallet is disappearing. So we have a very clear overview what we are spending. So this is what this card wants to teach you. You need to learn to determine what is best for you, paying cash or paying with a credit card, but normally this card is related to cash payments. So you should try this for a month and see if you have improvement in the accomplishments that you already made so far, because this card is about that we have made progress in our life. You see that certain things in your life are starting to progress. There are really visible changes with this card, I know. Anyway, here we see also that we should not compare ourselves to others. But this card is also about long-term projects. Here, this card asks us if we could change some things for improving ourselves financially even more. Maybe there are some changes to be made in your life so you can improve yourself financially better. If you do so, this could be a very big step forward for you. This is what we are seeing here. This is not about small or big success. It's about management. These cards, these two cards are about management, that you learn how and improve how to spend your money better, do a better budgeting. This is what you are seeing. And you come from a far way with this card. You already persevered, but you need to move on here so you can make savings for yourself, come in a better, solid situation for yourself. You're on your way, you're almost there, so you need to keep persevering. That is what these two cards telling us here. The last card that we see here is the card of immediate satisfaction. And these two cards are actually contradictory with this card. This is about immediate satisfaction. For instance, we work hard in our life, and sometimes we want to buy a gift or an award for ourselves or a reward for ourselves. And this card tells us that we need to be careful with these rewards. We need to be aware here with this card that happiness don't come with the purchase of a fleeting object. This is a feeling that lasts only for a few times. If you buy a pair of shoes or you buy an electronic gadget, you know, that lasts for 10 minutes and you're already forgotten about it. This is not the way we get satisfaction. Here we need to get a satisfaction, a financial satisfaction with these two cards on the long run. This is what this about. This is what this card reading is about. But if we follow the media, if we follow our consumption society, that it don't stop. According to TV commercials, it's unthinkable that we would be fulfilled without having the latest gadgets, having the latest fashion, the latest dream electronics, and of course also the latest car of the year. If we follow this trend, we work hard and we need to work harder. It don't stop. But at what expense here? All these small pleasures here, maybe we should guide these pleasures in something else, in something on the long run, something that really gives us deep fulfillment. So this card tells us to pull ourselves together, be aware of this nefast trend, learn how to transform yourself from instant gratification to something that lasts for a long time. For instance, if you want to go on a trip for a long time, save this money for going on a trip that you maybe longed for a long time. Maybe you want to take care of yourself for your pension, put up a pension plan. Maybe you want to be more secure, you want more insurance, take additional insurance. This is what this card is about. Try to avoid immediate satisfaction and try to find happiness, lasting happiness in things that are really substantial and that you can see on the long run. So Libra, for the water group, this is all for this month. I hope you get a little bit wiser out of this philosophical card reading. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If this card reading don't fit you at all, please check out the other 3 card readings that are following here in the same session. I'm sure one of the 4 will fit you. Anyway, I want to thank you for your time you spend on my channel. And also I want to mention, please check out the Lenormand card readings, the deep Lenormand card readings that we do every month for your sign. There's a lot of information there for your sign for the whole month. You can find a lot of valuable information there for the month to come. Anyway, I want to thank you for your time, and I'm sure we see each other in my other videos. Thank you and bye-bye for now. Hello Libra, and welcome to your philosophical card reading for the month of December, the philosophical financial card reading. As I see here in a quick overview, this is about connections we have with the past, with our grandparents and our parents here, and also about buying gifts and what we exactly spend with gifts and how do we spend. The first card here that we spend, mostly this card appears if we have incalculated certain budget or certain gifts that we gonna receive from other people. Sometimes this is an inheritance, sometimes this is an amount of money that we are expecting. Maybe we have incalculated this for buying some presents or buying something that we need in our life. But this card tells you to be very careful with those calculations. This card tells us actually to rely on ourselves. Here, this card tells us not to rely on others for money, also not to rely on our parents, our grandparents. For instance, here, for giving an example, for instance, if you have incalculated certain budgets in your own retirement plan or in your own investment plan, this card tells us to be very careful about this. Unless your parents or grandparents are already very unfit, still we did not read their will. And therefore we are never sure, related to our parents, we are their sole heir. Actually, we don't know until the notary or the lawyer, he reads the will of our parents, and then we can be sure if everything is actually belonging to us. Also, we need to add to this that the life expectancy of people has exploded over the last decades. There are a lot of things now for staying healthy, for keeping us longer alive, for keeping us healthy. And as people grow older, they gradually need their savings for services suited to their survival conditions. And of course, no one can blame them because they work for this money. Secondly, each individual, of course, has the right to change their testamentary dispositions at any time. And we never know that our mother or our father, they didn't succumb to the young Venus living next door or Cupid they met on the internet. So we need to be very careful here if we make assumptions related to money. We never know that they didn't favor this person living next door or on the internet at expense of the descendants. An inheritance or money, it can be a plan for investment, but it needs to be treated very carefully. So here this card tells you to rely on yourself. If you're waiting on money, don't do that. Don't rely on others. And if you don't rely on others, you will come out as a winner. The next card is also, it's a little bit related to the other card here, and this is the card about our ancestry. And also we need to think about the luxurious conditions that we currently have. Even though sometimes we are unhappy and we think we have reasons to complain, this card tells you to review your point of view here. We need to think that certain conditions that we have in our life, we have now these luxuries like insurances, social protection that we have. We have this because our grandparents and our parents, they did something for that. So if you compare to the situation that your ancestors, your grandparents had, and you compare your own generation, you can see that we can be very contented because these people had very little. There were no exotic trips, there were no herbs they could put on the food. Everything was very limited. There were no credit cards. They could not go below zero. What they earned, mostly that was one salary for a big family. The mother stayed at home, the father worked. So these were, for these people, these were very harsh conditions. They need to see that their house payments were made on time so they could stay in their property. There was no money left over when it was gone here. Anyway, if we compare ourselves to these people, and also we can compare ourselves to people who are in very harsh conditions now due to the viruses or the so-called viruses that are around us, and the rules that are implemented by insecure governments around us. Here we need to see that things are not always seen so bad as they are. Anyway, we cannot compare our own situation to people who are in severe conditions, who have no food due to these coronaviruses, or our grandparents who just lived on the edge. So think about your ancestor, think about these people who have very few, think about concessions some people had to make. So this card wants you to reflect, and it wants you to be happy, because here we see the next card. You're about to buy a presents for probably for Christmas here. This is what we are saying here. And this card also wants you to reflect. This card wants you to think wisely over the presents that you are about to buy. Of course, we can buy a box of chocolate. Of course, we can buy a small present, but this is the card of abundance. As we know, Christmas, for giving an example, because it's close by now. Christmas, for instance, it go from a religious festivity, for giving an example, into a festivity of abundance. There is no limitations. The rest of the year, we are very consequent about our money. We budget wisely. We see that we don't go below zero, but mostly when Christmas arrives, everything goes over. So everything is allowed then, and of course, the abundance strikes. Of course, then a month later, we have the horror of January, when the invoices arrive. So here, this card tells us to try to remember what these festivities like Easter, Christmas, Valentine are about. This is something about our loved ones, appreciating our loved ones, showing the love to our loved ones. This is not festivities about abundance and overconsumption. So this card tells you not to be fooled by advertising, marketing. Just make up your own mind, take a distant look about this whole thing. And maybe it's more wise to invest in your own future, in your own pension, things that the people around you need, then give something in abundance. Actually, the most expensive gift that we can give to the people around us is time. Nobody has time anymore. So instead of shopping for very expensive gifts, just take a day, 2-3 days off, and invest this time off in the loved ones around you. Most of these small anecdotes that we encounter with funny situations, crazy situations that we have sometimes with our loved ones, these are anecdotes that we carry for the rest of our days, and these are more important than the new microwave or whatever. This is more important, the time that you invest in the people around you, because this is where the real present is, and it's not in the money. So anyway, Libra, for the Air Group, this is all for this month. I hope you get a little bit wiser out of this philosophical card reading. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If this card reading don't fit you at all, please check out the other 3 card readings that are connected here. And of course, check out our monthly card readings, Lenormand card readings, which are very extensive and in-depth for the sign of Libra. Anyway, I want to thank you for your time, and I'm sure we see each other in my other videos. Thank you for your time, and bye-bye for now. Hello, Libra, and welcome to the Stone or the Earth group for your philosophical financial card reading for the month of December. The first card that we see here is well-organized charity that we have here as card. Probably you are a very generous type. Sometimes Libra can be very generous. And here with this card, we see that you probably take pleasure in spoiling the people around you, more specifically your loved ones. But think about it. Was the last toy that you bought or the last electronic gadget for the people around you, was this really necessary? Will your nephews, will your children, will your husband love you less if you pamper them less much? Well, actually, you already know the answer. High likely it will not be the case. Charity, well-ordered charity, it starts by itself. Here we see that of course, we can spoil our loved ones, but we need to do it with certain limitations. If you notice, because this card is here, that certain generosities in your life, it leads to financial, less fortunate circumstances, we need to limit this. Here we see that if this gives you stress, it has no place. So here this card tells us, if you are a charitable type, this is very nice, but you need to secure yourself first before you give gifts to others. So stimulate your own future yourself rather than buying surplus for other people or for the loved ones. Make sure if you secure your own future and theirs, that they will understand this very well. The next card is the card of immediate satisfaction. It's a little bit in the same line, this card. This is a card that we work hard. This points to people who work hard. And we, as we know, we live in a world of overconsumption. And this world of overconsumption, of course, it advocates satisfaction, immediate satisfaction, economical satisfaction. We need to buy, we need to constantly increase the things that we buy, but this is about buying fleeting objects. So here, this card tells us, if you buy a fleeting object, even for others or for yourself, how long does this feeling last? If you buy a pair of shoes, if you buy an electronic gadget, we know that the feeling, this feeling don't last very long. This card wants you to build a security for yourself that reaches a long-term goal. If we follow TV commercials, and also according to TV commercials, it's unthinkable that we are fulfilled and happy without having the latest gadgets, without being well dressed, without having the latest fashionable shoes, the dream electronics, and of course, every 4 years we need a new car. If we follow this trend, we don't stop working and we become like crazy for fulfilling our own needs. But this card tells you to see this approach in a different way. Instead of always buying new things, even small gadget, big things, pull yourself together, be aware that this is a nefast trend, and save your money on the long run. This satisfaction that you get, it don't last your happiness, it don't make you safe on the long run. If you restrict these superficious things that you buy, you will see that your savings account, it grows substantially. This is what we see here. Try to get your consuming habits better under control. This is what we see here with this card. The last card here is the card of evolution. This reading is about that the cards want you here that you secure yourself for a better future. This is what this reading is about. It wants you to adjust certain things in your life and look to the future, see the bigger picture. The last card is the card of evolution. It means that we all progress in life, we change and we stay the same also. But, excuse me, in general, trends and people evolve over the years. 2 decades are sometimes very different, and sometimes we don't even need a decade. If we see 2 years ago before Corona and we see now, we see that the world is seriously changed. So sometimes these changes can come very abruptly. Also, for instance, like 20, 30 years ago, we could not have imagined that we pay big bills for internet, for certain things that we have. So our expenses are increasing, we need to work harder, and therefore we must eliminate what was essential in the past and today has no longer importance for us. What is that? Well, for instance, a simple thing is the landline. If you catch yourself always using your mobile or your cell phone or your smartphone for calling people, the question is, has this still a purpose for you? If not, why do you pay for it? The same goes for TV channels, subscriptions on TV channels. If you see that you always use the internet, what is the purpose of TV channels and why would we pay for them? So here, this is about these things that we need to make small adjustment and save that money. Also, for instance, if you have a newspaper or you have a subscription on some magazine, instead of buying the paper version, if you want to save money, if you want, you can order the online version and it costs you mostly 40–50% less. Anyway, this is about that we review our monthly payments in general. Also check your banks, for instance, if they don't overcharge you. This is also what this is about. If you see that your bank is overcharging you for credit cards, just see if it's not cheaper to work with online banking, because we can save a lot of money also. This is also a trend that goes with these days. For instance, if we go with internet banking, we have very few expenses because these banks have no, they have no actual branches, so they have no staff. So it's much cheaper here. Don't be surprised if you save 1,000 to 2,000 euro or dollar with internet banking per year. And that is just the start of it, because if you use your banking accounts a lot, you can save much more. This is about evolving, going with the times and eliminating things that we no longer need, and also securing yourself here on the long run for your pension, for something that you really need. So Libra, for the Stone Group, this is all for this month. I hope you get a little bit wiser out of this philosophical financial card reading. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If this card reading don't fit you at all, check out the other 3 card readings that are immediately connected here in the same session. And please check out also our monthly Lenormand card reading that we do for your sign. This is very in-depth for the month to come. You will get a lot of information there about the months to come. Anyway, I want to thank you for your time, and I'm sure we see each other in my other videos. Thank you, and bye-bye for now. Hello, Libra, and welcome to the Matches or the Fire group for your philosophical financial card reading for the month of December. This is not an easy card reading. This is a more heavy card reading that we have here. The heavy cards of the deck are here. The first card that we see here, and it's connected to the other cards, that we are probably in a difficult financial situation. Here, this card tells us that we are on the edge of going down, or even bankruptcy, or very severe financial conditions. Probably this comes through to overuse of credit cards. And the first card that we see here is the card about budget. What does this card means? Well, maybe it's high likely here that this group, or for this reading, this group has a problem with budgeting. Some people are natural born budgeters. They know how to spend money. They know what they earn. They know how much they need to keep for themselves. So I'm thinking here this group has maybe some problem here with the way they spend money. Probably this group is not very good in balancing out, making budgets here, and probably it's a weakness here that we have in this group. Maybe there are certain shortages here that we did not foresee. Maybe something came up in our life that we did not foresee, and we needed to adjust our situation, and we are now in kind of trouble. We need to find alternatives, and I'm sure these alternatives are not easy to find. Here, this card is about, if you want to make the first step sometimes is very easy. Instead of paying with the credit card here, for getting a better overview is paying cash. You withdraw the money, you see what you withdraw, and you keep calculation of it, and you keep the money in your wallet. Excuse me. And if you have the money in your wallet, you will see if you pay and you overhand the money to the cashier, that it's like a pain response in your brain. Why? Because you actually overhand the money where you worked hard for. So it makes a response in your brain. If we pay with a credit card, we don't have it, because we have no sense what we are doing. And sometimes we don't even check what we get from the bank at the end of the month. So here we see that it's better here for getting out of these problems. We start to pay with cash, because we have a very good sense of feeling. We see the money disappearing out of our wallet, and then we become aware that it's easy to go the money. So here this card wants you to budget, because the second card is the card of credit cards. Here, this card is actually a quite serious card. It tells us for some people here, they live beyond their means. Some of you here in this group will spend money that they don't have, maybe on credit cards. And possibly also this tells you here that we are probably unable to repay certain minimums of credit cards. Here this card tells us that probably you have very expensive credit cards, meaning probably you use a credit card and this card always gives you money even if it's very below zero. The reason why this card always gives you money is because they charge you enormous interest. This is not longer a credit card. This is a shark card. These companies, they charge you, they overcharge you, and you pay 20 to 25% interest on the open standing capital. This card tells you here, this card tells you to get rid of this card as soon as possible. Try to balance it out from your other cards if you cannot. If you can administer small amounts of money and get rid of this card, please do so, because it means that you are overcharged by certain credit cards. Anyway, also we need to see that we adjust our consuming habits. We need to see that we don't buy things that we don't actually need. Try to go back to basics, pay your food, pay your rent, and try to avoid anything that you don't need. No luxury goods. Try to pay cash also, so you have a very good overview here what you are doing. Then the last card is actually the heavy card of the deck. These are the two heavy cards of the deck. Here we see the card of bankruptcy. This card has two ways. Maybe you came in an unforeseen circumstances as an independent, then this card would mean bankruptcy, or that you go near the bankruptcy. And then this card tells us here that we have certain deficits. If you are really in a severe situation, this is like the last warning sign here. This card tells us maybe it's time to take the option of a bankruptcy specialist. But before you start this and before you sign any agreement, you need to do, of course, more than consult a professional. You need to inform yourself well, because this is going to have certain consequences on your life. Meaning these decisions, they have consequences. So probably you will need, but probably you need to do it anyway. You will need to change your lifestyle as a whole here. You need to implement some drastic, draconic measures here for getting out of this situation if you have financial worries. So here this card tells us we need to take immediate actions for get out of this plan. You need to modify your conditions. If you are a private person and you are also in a difficult situation, then maybe we could get the advice of a financial, maybe a social worker who is specialized in financial difficult conditions, and they can make a plan for you for getting out of this financial difficult situation. If you are not yet there, both of these groups, this is the last warning sign. Here, this card tells us we need to change, we need to adjust our style of living, our way of living. Be careful also, don't make it worse. If you are already in trouble, be careful what you buy. With the holidays also, don't bring yourself in more severe condition. Anyway, this is all for the group, for Libra, for the fire group. I hope you get a little bit wiser out of this card reading. If you did, please subscribe to my channel. If this card reading don't fit you at all, please check the other 3 card readings that are immediately connected to it. I'm sure one of the 4 will fit you. Anyway, I want to thank you for your time, and please check out also the monthly Lenormand card readings that we do for your sign every month. They are very extensive, very in-depth. You will get a lot of information there about your life. Anyway, I want to thank you for your time, and I'm sure we see each other in my other videos. Thank you for your time, and bye-bye for now.